What is up, YouTube? Before I get into the video, let me remind you that if you like my content, hit that like and subscribe button. And also, if you feel the need to support me, hit me up on my Patreon at patreon.com/uncommonramen. Capital U, capital R. I do all this in my free time, so any amount of support can help me bring more of this content to you more often. Okay, today we're going to take a look at Malcator Purity Overseer. So this is a splicer deck, Golem Tribal, kind of by proxy. Fun fact, there are no red or black splicers. I could have probably done the new Baker, the gingerbread dude, and got the green splicers in here, but I like Malcator. Malcator is interesting. So Malcator Purity Overseer is 1 a white and a blue for a 1/1. When it enters the battlefield, you create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. And at the beginning of your end step, if you have 3 or more artifacts enter the battlefield under your control this turn, you get to create another one of those little golem tokens. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create golems. I feel like that's fairly straightforward. So we're going to look at the creatures. Yeah? Oof. Another creature-heavy deck. Go figure. Starting with Ancient Stone Idol. This is 10 for a 12/12 with flash that costs 1 less for each attacking creature. It has trample, and when it dies, it creates a 6/12 colorless construct artifact creature token with trample. We got Blade Splicer for 2 and a white. It is a 1/1. When Blade Splicer enters the battlefield, put a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token onto the battlefield, and Golem creatures you control have first strike. We've got Brass Herald for 6. This is a 2/2. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. When Brass Herald enters the battlefield, reveal the top 4 cards of your library, and put all creature cards of the chosen type revealed this way into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. Creatures of the chosen type get +1/+1. We got Bronze Guardian for 4 and a white. It is a star 5 with double strike. It has Ward 2. Other artifacts you control have Ward 2, and Bronze Guardian's power is equal to the number of artifacts you control. Clay Golem is 4 for a 4/4. It has 6 and roll a d8. You can pay 6 and roll a d8 to give it Monstrosity X, where X is the result. It also has Berserk. When Clay Golem becomes monstrous, destroy target permanent. We've got Darksteel Colossus. It is 11 for an 11/11. It has Trample and Indestructible, and if it would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, reveal it and shuffle it into its owner's library instead. We've got Darksteel Sentinel for 6. It is a 3/3 with Flash and Vigilance. It also has Indestructible. We have Darksteel Splicer. This is 6 and a white for a 1/1. Whenever Darksteel Splicer or another non-token Phyrexian enters the battlefield under your control, create X 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature tokens, where X is the number of opponents you have. Golems you control have Indestructible. We have Ethereum Sculptor for 1 and a blue. It's a 1/2. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. We have Foundry Inspector for 3. It is a 3/2. Artifact spells you cast cost 1 less to cast. We have Geode Golem for 5. It is a 5/3 with trample. Whenever Geode Golem deals combat damage to a player, you may cast your commander from the command zone without paying its mana cost. Gingerbrute for 1. It is a 1/1. It has haste. You can pay 1, and Gingerbrute can't be blocked this turn except by creatures with haste. And you can pay 2 and tap it and sacrifice it to gain 3 life. We've got Glass Dust Hulk for 3, a white and a blue. It is a 3/4. Whenever another artifact enters the battlefield under your control, Glass Dust Hulk gets +1/+1 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn. It has cycling for a hybrid white-blue. We've got Golden Guardian for 4. It is a 4/4 with Defender. You can pay 2 to have it fight another target creature you control. And when Golden Guardian dies, return it to the battlefield transformed under your control. Sorry, when it dies this way. Specifically from fighting. It'll return as Goldforge Garrison. It is a land that you can tap for 2 colors, 2 mana of any color. Wow, any color to your mana pool. Or you can pay 4 and tap it to create a 4/4 colorless golem artifact creature token. Oh no, go in the sleeve. Okay. We got Golem Artisan for 5. It is a 3/3. You can pay 2 to have target artifact creature get +1/+1 until end of turn, or you can pay 2 to have target artifact creature gain your choice of flying, trample, haste until end of turn. Howling Golem costs 3. It's a 2/3. Whenever Howling Golem attacks or blocks, each player draws a card. Lodestone Golem for 4. It is a 5/3. Non-artifact spells cost 1 more to cast. Lochiel Clockwork Scholar is 2 and a white for a 2/4. You can prevent all combat, you prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. And whenever 1 or more artifact creatures enter the battlefield under your control, you draw a card. This ability triggers only once each turn. Maelstrom Colossus for 8. It is a 7/7 with Cascade. Master Splicer for 3 and a white. It is a 1/1. Master Splicer enters the battlefield. When Master Splicer enters the battlefield, put a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token onto the battlefield, and golem creatures you control get +1/+1. Meteor Golem for 7. It is a 3/3. When it enters the battlefield, destroy target non-land permanent an opponent controls. Mycosynth Golem for 11. It is a 4/5 with affinity for artifacts, and artifact creature spells you cast have affinity for artifacts. Phyrexian Triniform costs 9. It is a 9/9. When it dies, create 3 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature tokens, and it has Encore for 12. Platinum Empyrean. This is 8 for an 8/8, and your life total can't change. Precursor Golem is 5 for a 3/3. When Precursor Golem enters the battlefield, create 2 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature tokens. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell that targets only a single Golem, that player copies that spell for each other Golem that spell could target. Each copy targets different one of those Golems. Sensor Splicer for 4 and a white. It is a 1/1. When Sensor Splicer enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. Golem creatures you control have vigilance. Solemn Simulacrum is 4 for a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, search your library for a basic land card, put that onto the battlefield, tap, then shuffle. When it dies, you get to draw a card. Soulless Jailer costs 2. It's a 0/4. Permanent cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile. Tormod's Crypt is 3. Tormod's Crypt Keeper is 3 for a 3/2 with vigilance. You can tap and sacrifice it to exile all cards from target player's graveyard. Triplicate Titan is 9 for a 9/9 with flying, vigilance, and trample, and when it dies, you get to create a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token with flying, a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token with vigilance, and a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token with trample. And then finally, we have Wing Splicer for 3 and a blue. This is a 1/1. When Wing Splicer enters the battlefield, put a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token onto the battlefield, and Golem creatures you control have flying. All right, next up is going to be instants. We're going to start with an Arcane Denial. Counter target spell. Its controller may draw up to 2 cards at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep. You may draw a card at the beginning of next turn's upkeep. We have Blur. It's 2 and a blue. Exile target creature you control. Then return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. Draw a card. Dispatch for 1. Tap target creature. Metalcraft if you control 3 or more artifacts. Exile that creature. Dovin's Veto for 1 white and 1 blue. Counter target spell, and this spell cannot be countered. Counter target non-creature spell, and this spell cannot be countered. Eerie Interlude for 2 and a white. Exile any number of target creatures you control. Return those creatures to the battlefield under their owner's control at the beginning of the next end step. Ephemerate for 1 white. Exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. It has Rebound. Ghostly Flicker for 2 and a blue. Exile 2 artifact 2 target artifacts, creatures, and or lands you control, then return those to the battlefield under your control. Masterful Replication. 5 and a blue, choose 1. Create 2 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature tokens, or choose target artifact you control. Each other artifact you control becomes a copy of that artifact until end of turn. Momentary Blink. For 1 and a white, exile target creature you control, then returns to the battlefield under its owner's control. Flashback. 3 and a blue. Rootborn Defenses. For 2 and a white, populate. Creatures you control gain indestructible until end of turn. And then for 1 white, Swords to Plowshares. Target creature, exile target creature. The creature's controller gains life equal to its power. Sorry, that was an older version. We're going to look at sorceries next. Got March of Progress for 2 and a blue. Choose target artifact creature you control. For each creature chosen this way, create a token that's a copy of it. It has overload 6 and a blue. We've got Organic Extinction for 8 and 2 white. Improvise. Destroy all non-artifact creatures. Splicer's Skill for 2 and a white. Create a 3/3 colorless golem artifact creature token. Splice onto instant or sorcery for 3 and a white. And then Thoughtcast for 4 and a blue. Affinity for artifacts. Draw 2 cards. There's supposed to be another one in here. One with the machine, but TCG players sent me one with the multiverse instead, which I don't know. I don't know how to... I can see how they messed that up. We'll just say that. Next up is artifacts. Arcane Signet, cost 2. You can tap it for color identity. We got Azorius Signet, cost 2. You can pay 1, tap it for white-blue. Conjurer's Closet, cost 5. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under your control. Got Darksteel Forge for 9. Artifacts you control have indestructible, including itself. Encroaching Mycosynth for 3 and a blue. Non-land permanents you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for permanent spells you control and non-land permanent cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. Forsaken Monument, costs 5. Colorless creatures you control get +2/+2. Whenever you tap a permanent for colorless, you can add an additional colorless. And whenever you cast a colorless spell, you gain 2 life. We got Golem Foundry, costs 3. Whenever you cast an artifact spell, you may put a charge counter on Golem Foundry. Remove 3 charge counters from Golem Foundry to put a 3/3 colorless Golem artifact creature token onto the battlefield. Guardian Idol, it costs 2. Enters the battlefield tapped. You can tap it for colorless, or you can pay 2 and have it turn into a 2/2 Golem artifact creature token or creature until end of turn, not token. Mindstone costs 2. You can tap it for colorless, or you can pay 1 and tap it and sacrifice it to draw a card. We got Pramicon, costs 4. If an artifact or creature entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Sculpting Steel costs 3. As it enters the battlefield, choose an artifact in play. Sculpting Steel enters as a copy of that artifact. We've got Soul Ring. It costs 1. You can tap it for 2 colorless. Titan Forge costs 3. You can pay 3 and tap it to put a charge counter on Titan Forge. You can also tap Titan Forge and remove 3 charge counters from Titan Forge to put a 9/9 colorless artifact creature token, colorless Golem artifact creature token onto the battlefield. And Unwinding Clock for 4. You can untap artifacts you control during each other player's untap step. Okay, next up is enchantments. The first enchantment we're going to see here is one with the multiverse. Again, this was supposed to be one with the machine, and they sent me this instead. You should probably play with one with the machine, but this one also isn't, I guess, bad. It just doesn't have really any synergies with this deck. For 6 and 2 blue, you may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. And once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its mana cost. So not bad, but not what we needed. Reflections of Littjara, 4 and a blue. As it enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Whenever you cast a spell of the chosen type, copy that spell. Song of the World Soul, for 4 and 2 white. Whenever you cast a spell, populate. Teleportation Circle, 3 and a white. At the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target artifact, creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Artifact or creature. Tempered Steel for 1 and 2 white. Artifact creatures you control get +2/+2. Thopter Spy Network for 2 and 2 blue. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying, and whenever 1 or more artifact creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, you get to draw a card. Next up is non-basic lands. We're going to start with an Academy Ruins. You can tap this for colorless, or you can pay 1 and a blue and tap this to put target artifact card in your graveyard on top of your library. Ancient Den, which taps for colorless and is an artifact in addition to a land. We got Buried Ruin, which taps for colorless, and you can pay 2 and tap it to sacrifice it to return target artifact card from your graveyard to your hand. Command Tower, which you tap for your commander's color identity. Darksteel Citadel is indestructible, taps for colorless, and also a artifact in addition to land. Dread Statuary. You can tap this for colorless, or you can pay 4 and have it become a 4/2 Golem artifact creature token, or creature, until end of turn. It's still land. Glacial Fortress, which is a check land for white-blue. Hallowed Fountain, which is a shock land for white-blue that also has basic land typings. Port Town, which is a reveal land for white-blue. Prairie Stream, which is a check land for white-blue with basic land typings. Razortide Bridge, which is an artifact land that enters the battlefield tap that taps for white and blue. Reliquary Tower, you have no maximum hand size and taps for colorless. Seed of Synod, taps for blue, is an artifact in addition to land. Spire of Industry, you can tap this for colorless, or you can tap it, pay 1 life, and add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Only activate this ability if you control an artifact. Alright, next up is basics. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 islands, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 planes. So that's going to be our Malcator Purity Overseer. We want to maximize creating golem tokens as well as just having golems in play. We have a lot of things in here that give extra oomph to golems in the form of tons of splicers, as well as a lot of artifact payoffs and whatnot. Mycosynth Golem giving every creature affinity for artifacts is incredible. So just really helps to push this deck along. But yeah, Malcator Purity Overseer. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Keep it positive. I will remove negative comments. And I think that's it, guys. Until next time. Peace.